All right, let's get this started. So I actually got music that I'm going to try to drop in front of this to make this a little classier. And I don't necessarily have an agenda, but we'll try to keep this going. And I do want to point out, if there's any new people out there, this is that in no way does what I do on this represent exactly how I am. I am nowhere near like this in real life.
No, of course not. Clearly not.
So before we start, I'm not telling this story tonight. When you guys come for the Super Bowl, I will tell you something that happened to me last spring that I definitely am not telling on here. But anyhow, so it should top last year's Gatorade bottle.
Did you shit your pants again?
There's a good chance that might be involved in the story. Wait a minute, what do you mean again? What do you mean again? Oh, there's Chris. What do you mean again? We kind of got started. What did you do? What did you just take on Muhammad Ali? What the hell's going on over there? No, I got no audio.
There's Captain Intensity.
We can't hear him, and apparently he's changed his name. He's now Jason.
His mic is muted. I can see that. Jason Scherer's mic is muted.
Yeah. Maybe Chris can help Jason with his microphone.
No, still nothing. Still nothing.
Look at him. Hey, Jim, it looks like he needs your ladies' glasses. He's squinting at the screen pretty bad.
There you go.
This is going to be his best part of this whole podcast, and we can't hear any of it. No, still, he's, yeah.
You got to take a screenshot for the listener. That way, our listener.
I'm going to see what I can do here. How can I? Yeah. For the listener, good one. There he is. I think I might have gotten it. No, I didn't. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can get him squinting again, like he's in some sort of a hailstorm. But there's one. Let's see what I can. Let me get Jason Scherer in there. It'd be nice to get him and Mrs. Garrett side by side, but that might not.
Good one. Good one.
But I don't think there's any way.
Is it trying to dress as Fetterman for Halloween in that picture?
Yeah. Wait, let me see. I just asked him to unmute, so let's see if that works. There he is. This is someone that educates younger people. Just want to point that out right now.
Yeah.
This is
yeah. Yep.
He might. The funny thing is he's probably swearing at us, and I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
This, by the way, will be as effective as Belichick's kid next year at North Carolina. What's going on right now, Chris? Yeah.
No, it's going to be earlier than that.
Yeah. Well, till I can't. I don't. So, all right. So, yeah. Anyhow, I do have a Super Bowl story, but because I can't.
Can Chris get a whiteboard and just write his answers down and hold it up to the screen?
Now, the thing is, so at the bottom of your thing, there's a little audio. There's a microphone down there.
Here's the best part, Doug. The best part, Doug, is that some bitch can hear us and we can't hear a word he's saying.
I know. Doesn't it look like he's walking through a hailstorm?
He's probably telling some good story right now.
Oh, right now, yeah. There's a good chance he's wearing somebody else's pants too. That's a given right there.
Yeah,
that's a given. Speaking of that, I got.
God only knows why he's on mute. By the way, maybe she's bent over or something. We don't know.
No. If that was the case, he'd be on the phone right now.
Yeah. He'd be holding that phone up to his.
Somebody should have taken that elf on the shelf and stuck a phone in its hand. That would have been even better. Hey, so you know what's funny? While we're waiting for Jason to get on here, I did one of those joke pictures with those elf on the shelves and forgot that it is in your file. And like a year later, Ava's looking through it, and this is before they didn't know the whole thing. And I had it laying there with a beer bottle or something, one of the classic ones. And she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, yeah, I was messing around here. I don't know what that is. I didn't mess around with that one. I wasn't sure on that one.
Yeah, I saw one with Barbie on the stripper pole and the elf just with singles around.
Wasn't sure what was going on there when your hand was moving.
Yeah.
He's got he figured out how to put his background up, which is not, I can do that too, but I don't want to mess around. Yeah, so this is going to be 20 minutes of Jason trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm changing his name on my text list. Oh, no, yeah, still there. Yep. All right. He figured out how to close his audio off. Yeah, I can put a background on my stuff, of mountains and all kinds of things. I don't have cool IndyCar pictures behind me or anything like that.
You could be like Windhorst and pretend he's in a basketball gym, and you know that fat fuck never played basketball.
That's usually the person I would turn to.
He was the one that was first out in dodgeball and last in kickball.
Good one.
Yeah. He that's who I want to listen to my insider information from, is that clown.
Yeah.
If they had an analyst for that hot dog eating contest at Coney Island, then that's who I want. But I don't want.
I'll tell you what. If somebody's going to narrate a hot dog eating contest, I want that fat bastard Whitlock on there, because he can eat hot dogs. You can guarantee to that.
So
the only problem is his hair might sweat.
Well, I'll tell you what, they should get Rosie Perez to do some stuff. She was really good in that.
Man, that whole thing was a disaster, wasn't it?
In that hugging contest. So I met Roy Jones Jr. He was at a Valley Dogs game. Like, at the time, pound for pound, he was like the best fighter.
Yeah.
But he didn't like Tyson's legs. I don't know if anybody knew that. He hated his legs.
Yeah.
The legs were weak. He didn't like his wet legs. Now it looks like Chris is actually at that game. Well, I mean, Jason, and he's dodging like stuff.
Yeah. The fans are throwing snowballs.
So again, this is great because he can't hear us, but this is someone who I'm assuming at some point in his life is pretty savvy when it comes to tech stuff, being that he, again, is an educator.
Didn't you have to use Zoom to teach kids during COVID?
Yeah, he was probably drinking beers. Yeah, he is supposed to, but yeah.
How much do you want to bet that the next story you hear of an Easton teacher playing Pornhub on their computer in class, it's going to be him?
Well, you won't be able to hear anything. It'll be on mute.
No.
So yeah. Good thing with this wasn't a live stream. Somebody like, I like you guys, especially that guy at the bottom right bobbing around. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Is that LSU? What background is that? Supposed to be Penn State? I can't tell what background that is. Of course I can't tell because
I think he told us. We just can't hear what he said.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what to do here. I guess we can start. I'm just letting him try to just disregard for those that are just joining. For that one person that might be joining right now, just do not pay attention to the Jason at the bottom there. He's obviously he can't see. All right, so
bad.
So I think I'm trying to put. It's distracting. All right, so I guess we'll start with I obviously the big thing today I wanted to talk about was the playoffs. The playoff. Neither one of you guys that can hear me, or Jason can too, but he can't say anything, are going to like what I have to say. So I'll let you go. Whoever wants to go for, I'll chime in. I've come around a little bit more since Sunday, but you guys can tell me what you think.
Here's my view, Doug. Is you and I have talked a little bit about this. Until my whole beef for years, like my entire life, has been that it's determined by some stupid ranking system or Beano Cook picking who number one is.
Right. Yes.
Like I believe it should be decided on the football field. So you should have a playoff system where you have conferences and wild cards like the NFL does, like hockey does, like all the major sports do, and they funnel up, and that's how you determine who makes the playoffs, right? It's determined based on record, and if you didn't make your conference championship and you're on a wild card, well, then you're just not good enough. It's easy, right? But we don't have that right now. So now you still get a lot of controversy with picks and rankings and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's kind of my rant to open up is there needs to be a formal playoff system. And I looked this up. The NHL does $6.3 billion a year in revenue. You know what the TV contract is for Division I football? For Division I football, the TV contract for the Power Five is $4 billion. So they're almost what hockey is, and yet they don't have a playoff system. This is not a playoff system. This is just a ranking system. That's all it is. So if we said, well, hey, I think the Canadians should be ranked higher than the Maple Leafs because they beat the Rangers, that's stupid,
Mhm.
right? So anyway, my point is I think there should be a playoff system. And until there is, we're going to get these debates like this, and it's going to be full of silliness.
I think they pigeonhole everybody in. What they should do right now is you have Selection Sunday. Do not give the rankings out for the two weeks prior. Right? Let everybody speculate. And I agree with you that they need to do something about it because it's all speculative. But now you pigeonhole people in. Right? I how does Ohio State get a home game when they lose to a shit Michigan team? Like I would have flipped Tennessee and Ohio State. And then how do you keep Penn State higher when they lost to Ohio State? Like you said, it's very subjective. They need to do
Very much so.
something. They need
Yeah.
to do something about it. And the other thing I would do, get the hell away from these championship games. They should have started them this week. And if you want to say the conference champions, will reseed to do so, like it's just you sit there and everybody argues. Like I could be pissed off that the Irish fell a spot, but it made perfect sense when Texas and Penn State lose that they shouldn't get punished for sliding down one spot. But it's they really need to do something else. And once you pigeonholed everybody into two major conferences, and now when it goes to 16, it's going to be like, nope, we got to get 5 teams in each league. And then leave the 6 at-large teams, from outside the Big Ten and the SEC. I think it's terrible, but you're right. It's going to go to I think it's just a geographic model, and your 4 conference champions, and then wild cards, and I don't even know how many the NFL get in now in the playoffs. What 9, 8 teams. That's what it's going to wind up being.
It doesn't matter. The point is, in the NFL, you determine,
right?
Like, you have a structured system, and if you make the playoffs, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sometimes the 9-7 Giants win the Super Bowl 2 times.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And that's what's good about SMU getting in and all that. Yeah. And I wouldn't have dropped them out for losing the conference championship game. But I know Doug's an SEC guy and all that, and I like the SEC too. But the regency bias, well, if it's not the SEC, the rest of it's shit. The best football is being played in there. You can't help who you play. You can't help what league you're in. You take care of your business in the league, then we can have the discussion. But you lose 3 games like Alabama did, they played themselves out. You want to get in, win.
Well, So I won't argue the seedings because hardly any of them do I agree with.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that there is no criteria.
Well, at least they didn't put Clemson in with a bye.
No, but they couldn't. They couldn't talk about that's so. I could probably talk to you for 2 hours about this because every team you tell me irritates me. Mm-hmm. They backed in. Okay, they backed in them. They mm-hmm. don't win the last week, but because Miami is shittier and loses to Syracuse, they get in, and then they play a team that's ultimately a group of 5 team. By the way, SMU moved to the ACC. They didn't change enrollment. They didn't get any bigger. They didn't expand their roster. They're a group of 5 school out of the American. So that's who they played to win it, and they almost lost the game. The thing is that because of this is a typical case of the NCAA. We're going to make more money now, but we're not going to decide, all right, we got to put in place a whole bunch of things. We're just going to make more money. We're going to expand conferences, which makes more chaos because there's no divisions anymore. You've got too many teams in the conferences. You can't play everybody. The schedule's unbalanced. There's no divisions. And then you don't have any criteria that anybody knows. Mm-hmm. It would be no different, by the way, than them saying, all right, the 3 of us should pick. We watch college football. We've been around the game. Yeah. So there is no criteria. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Because now, and you should have known this. Like, you couldn't pick 4. Now you're going to pick 12. And there's nothing about it is right. Nothing is about the conferences. Yeah. Some are stronger than others, whether you want to admit it or not. The ACC is the weakest one. The SEC potentially is the strongest. So now they play everybody or most everybody. I mean, Indiana didn't play Dick. Penn State didn't play a schedule like that. but people love it because the Penn State fans love it because they don't have to play an SEC team. By the way, they got the easiest absolute draw
Oh my
possible.
God.
So there has to be a number of things that have to happen.
They
for
should
this to be
reseed
fair.
after the first round
Well,
game.
that's not even they have to have a
No,
formula. Can you imagine the NFL if you didn't know until 4 weeks before the end of the year who might make it? I mean, that's what this is like. You don't
yeah.
have any kind of nobody knows the formula. There isn't one. It's a bunch of dudes and women sit around pick. There's
But
nothing.
doesn't it make it fun because this is
No,
what we're bitching about?
no, it
No,
doesn't because you
But
don't
but
have.
but this is what
Yeah.
garners the
Well,
But it
that's
shouldn't
the
be
old
like that. It'd be like
that's the Beano Cook argument, which
Yeah.
I never agreed with. Right, his
listen,
whole thing
we'd be
was,
talking about this anyhow if it was normal. We're
yeah,
talking about the NFL. I mean, the
yeah,
NFL has a
correct,
similar scenario. The Vikings division
correct,
is loaded. The freaking
yeah.
the
Oh, the NFC South and the AFC South are horrendous,
correct. The
right?
Falcons division is garbage.
Yeah,
Outside of one team in the NFC East, everybody else blows.
yeah,
And yeah, so Minnesota just played the
yeah,
team they would have played on the road on Sunday and beat them by 21.
yeah,
And then they got the Packers in line. So I mean, it's the same argument. We still talk about it. That's how that works. That's
yeah.
different. But in this
But there
case,
is defined criteria
yeah,
though in that
exactly.
system, right? And
Right. You have a tiebreaker for so first
that's
the
right.
first step was they didn't have a legitimate tiebreaker in place when they went, all right, we're gonna have the SEC expand, the Big Ten expand, the AC. Everybody's going, we're not gonna division anymore. Woohoo, that's great. But then we have no formula. It's
Yeah.
basic, the SEC, you know how the tiebreaker worked? Whoever didn't play Mississippi State. That's how it worked. It's exactly how it worked. If you
I
didn't
can't.
play Mississippi State, Alabama had a stronger schedule, so did everybody else because they didn't play Mississippi State. So there's so many things, balanced schedule, and then the other thing now is I would not schedule anybody hard out of the conference. What's the point? What's the point for anybody? Unless you're Notre Dame, no offense, Jim, but you got to play somebody good.
You got to play somebody.
Cincinnati had to play Notre Dame a few years ago. But if you're in
And they
the
won.
SEC, why play anybody good? Don't play anybody good because it's not going to matter. SMU played dick. They lost to BYU and they're in a JV in the worst freaking conference in the country. I mean, it's not. So there's too many things. And it's great. We now have what people wanted, the regular fans, right? We want the NFL fans to like college football. So now we have the UMBCs in there. We have the freaking Chicago Loyolas, whatever, with Nurse or Sister Mary. So we can watch Clemson and Penn State and Indiana and SMU play the JV 16-1 games, and then the Hammers are going to be there at the end. The only thing is that Penn State somehow milked somebody and got the easiest freaking draw by playing two group of fives, because SMU is, and so is Boise, and you're going to have a shit team in the Final Four. So they're going to get hammered. It's just that's what we wanted, right? And I want the underdog. That's what I want. Yeah, I want to see SMU lose by 100. I want to see Boise get beat. Arizona State, by the way, is probably one of the four best teams. They're playing great right now.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even have been in the damn thing if they don't win it. There's too many things wrong, and we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I'll go back to the first point I made. It's an amateur organization.
Yeah.
I can't believe with so much money involved,
you're right.
especially with gambling, that they can continue to run it in such a half-assed way. Like
exactly.
At some point in time, it's got to be a professional organization.
Yeah, and now it has to be. There has to be someone in charge.
There has to be.
And I also don't like the fact that nobody knows. So Jim, actually, I'm going to go complete opposite of what you said. I told Angela, I went on a rant, surprisingly, on, I don't know what the hell day it was, last week, about how they should tell the teams that we're in, you're in. Penn State should have been told, Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame, Indiana, you guys are gold. You're in. You're in. Don't worry about it. Ohio State, because we all knew it. We all knew it was going to come down to who wins the ACC, and then depending on that, if Bama's bumped.
Yeah.
I don't like not telling these teams or not letting them know. It's ridiculous. So all sitting there on Sunday waiting for a bunch of idiots to pick who's our 12 teams in the playoffs. And there really was only one argument. There was only one. And I agree with the conference championships being eliminated. But as Mike stated, it's about money, and that is for sure about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like there's a way to weave those in, right, and make them part of the playoff structure.
Well, you knock a week off. You have what you do is you play
What
10 games,
Yeah.
and you have your top 4 teams play a semifinal and a final, and then you have your conference champion.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
You
right.
That's
start
what
at
you
week
can do.
0. You
What's
start
that?
week 0,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
But you play
And then-
10.
Right. And
Yeah.
then you put all, you put those games the week before Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving weekend is your championship games for them. Then you can start the playoff then.
Yeah.
Or even if you wanted to take a week off and you'd
You
be
would
starting
still-
this weekend instead of next weekend.
They would still make a
Yeah.
shitload of money, more money than they know what to do
Mhm.
with.
So Mike
Bring-
Leach had a 64-team playoff formula about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And his theory was you play 10 games, you take the 64 teams. If you lose, you play basically the guy that lost below you in your contingency. So you always play 12 games in the regular season. And then if you win, you keep going. To be honest with you, that would be better. You play 10 games, so you make your conferences play 8 and 2 non-conference, and then you have 64 teams play, and so if you lose in the first round of 64, you play whoever else is in your bracket as a contingency, so you get 12. As a bowl, so the Cheetos Bowl doesn't have some shitty team in it, it'll end up having a contingency game. And by the way, if you tell people that theory, they think you just took your pants off and farted in their face. But if you think about it, that would be better for me, because guess what? Now we have no criteria, so just put everybody in it. Put 64 in there. Who cares? You're going to end up playing less games, and then you still play 12 in the regular season. You limit down. That way you don't have people playing Mercer and Delaware. You play 2 non-conference, has to be a Power 5 or a group of 5, and you play 10 regular season games.
All right. So why can't you do what they do in the lower divisions?
Because they don't have a bunch of idiots picking it. You're right. There's nothing wrong with the FCS.
No.
Yeah.
Conference champs, all of them.
Yeah.
They also have 24 teams in it.
Right.
And there's never an argument because you don't have somebody sitting there going,
Right. And you
this,
do your
this,
read.
this, and this. You have at-larges based on their record.
Right.
Yeah. And the teams know, like Lafayette, I think last year they won the Patriot League. They knew they weren't going to get in. The Patriot League's not going to get 2 teams in. The power conferences in the FCS, there's one down in South where Richmond played in. They know they're going to get extra teams. JMU was in there.
Right.
No, you're right. There's no issues, but there's also 24 teams in that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
by the way,
the number one,
there's nothing stopping you from doing that.
the number
No.
one seed in each round gets a bye.
Yeah.
And then you're going through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even what Kutztown's in, Jim, the Division 2,
No,
there's
not
no
anymore.
issues there.
Yeah.
But that's, the other thing I told Angela last week, I go, listen, if they put 16 in, you wouldn't have an argument now. She's like, well, 17, 18 is going to argue. I go, but they don't have a valid argument. I get it. Georgia Tech's fans are going to say they should make it, or whoever, but they don't deserve to get in it. If you put 16, you're going to deserve the teams that are 13, 14, 15. You start get to 16, it's like, all right, they got in. But after that, no. Sorry, Illinois, those teams, no. Colorado, no. So at this point, I'd go right to 16 next year, because that way it makes it easier. And again, we still need to have some sort of a criteria. We still have to have something.
Hey, Doug, the only counter that I will make to that, just a little bit of a counter, is the NCAA basketball tournament. Number one, that makes money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what to do with the money that makes.
Yes.
Literally,
Yes.
right? And you have 64 teams, of which you really have on paper, you really have four
Yeah.
that could legitimately win the national championship. But then we still you have Butler, you have Georgetown, you have Villanova, you have schools pop up periodically on a run, and it's engaging and it's fun and it's entertainment. At the end of the day, it is an entertainment business. So like I wouldn't be opposed to 24, right? And yeah, you're going to get some blowouts, some dog shit games probably. You're also going to get somebody like an Arizona State that catches a heater at the right time, and they run through 3 or 4 teams, right?
Well, with the portal available now, the balance is blatantly obvious.
That's right.
So when you say, well, we could put 24 in, and for example, I know South Carolina wasn't 24th, but a team like that playing as well as they are could
Yeah.
make a run now
Mhm.
because
Absolutely right.
everybody has the same
That's right.
amount of depth. It's not like it
That's
was
right.
3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
where Bama had 4 players in each position better than everybody else. You don't have that anymore. There's no teams just freaking gobbling up all the talent. They're going everywhere.
right.
So I wouldn't either, be honest with you. And it makes it easier because that way you can't argue. And there is teams hot enough now. You know, used to be the thing, well, I mean, I don't know about the group of fives. I can't imagine Tulane and Army being that deep that they could potentially play 3 rounds into a playoff. But this portal now, these guys can load up.
Yes.
And everybody's the same.
Who was it? Marshall lost like their whole team today in the portal or something like that.
Oh, probably.
I heard on the radio.
I mean, the fact that Indiana, and I get it. I mean, the schedule. Well, let's see. That's actually one of the more interesting first round games. I got something on that, by the way. But the fact that Indiana became immediately good, and I get the fact that their schedule was shit, but they still wouldn't in the past, right? Mike never would have won the other 10 or 11 games. You know,
listen, only once in the history of Indiana football. So once in 100+ years have they won 10 games.
Yeah,
right. So
So
I mean, come on, it's
I would much rather. It's just that the steps to get to 16 or to 24 or whatever, they can't figure shit out now. I mean, the first easy fix for next year if they stay at 12 is they got to put these conferences back in divisions. There's got to be something. There has to be something. There has to be something. Just so we're clear, Jim, the name that I picked, Mike, did you enroll in the Bowl Mania yet?
I did.
Did you see my name?
No,
I don't want to say it.
I just looked at mine. I did not. Oh boy.
Anyhow, Jim, the name I picked is not making fun of Notre Dame. Mike will know right away when he sees it. It's not me making fun of Notre Dame.
All right, hold on. Is it the college football bracket?
I think it's the
Damn it.
I think it's the
other one, Capital
the
One?
Capital One Bowl Mania. I think I did that first. I did send a bracket one too, but yeah.
Oh, I just did the ESPN one.
Did you do the Capital One Bowl Mania? Yeah, Mike saw it.
Yeah.
It's not me making fun of Notre Dame getting beaten to snow.
No,
I'm just going to leave it at that. That's on the bingo card. Oh, actually, I should read off some of the bingo card stuff while we got a minute here.
That's impressive.
I can't keep it. Can't be this serious.
That is, Jim?
No, you're going to tell it, right? That's what you're going to explain what that is. By the way, I did not know, nor do I want to tell anybody what this is. So,
all right, I'll tell Jim. An Indiana snowplow. This derives. This is slang from Urban Dictionary. The definition of an Indiana snowplow is when you ejaculate on someone and use your cock and balls to push it around like a snowplow. Used in a sentence, I got my cock all sloppy doing an Indiana snowplow.
Used in a sentence because we needed you to use it in a sentence. Oh, now I get it. Now that it's in a sentence,
that really brings it to life in a sentence.
So that's on the bingo card. Yeah. I got
God help us. If it snows at the Super Bowl, look out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to challenge Jim. So I've explained this. So Ava asked me, she's in the truck the other day, and I have the text chain named Chocolate and Pants over a Winnebago. By the way, every time I tell people why we have it that way, I leave my part out of it.
Of course.
Yes. I tell why Jim, it's with the Winnebago. You is when you thought you shit the bed, and Chris wearing women's pants. Yeah. Nobody usually is like, oh, what about you? And because I'm pants too, but obviously we know why pissing and shitting in your pants. But anyhow, so Jim continues to tell me that his buddies insist that he did this. So for the Super Bowl, we'll have to go out in the back and see him try it again. So Ava reads this. She's like, well, what is that? And I explained it. And she's like, yeah, but that's impossible to do.
Completely.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are correct. Very smart high school student. You are correct. Look at Mrs. Garrett down here arguing this point.
When you're in your late teens to early 20s, let's just say the prostate is probably
all right. Do you think Davis could have done that?
No.
So when you tell people, he
tried. I didn't say it was me. I said it was a friend.
I just can't. I can't. I'm telling you, I'll go to the grave with this one. So apparently, Chris, what? So Mike sent that picture. I'm sweating like he's in a hailstorm. Oh, you know what's? I have to put that up. You know what's funny? I was looking through pictures today. I needed to try to find a Christmas picture, and I found that one of McAfee after he jumped in that canal.
Oh, that's a classic. That is great.
That would be a good thing for us to do every once in a while. I'm going to pop a picture up for you guys, and I probably could do that. Anyhow, I wanted to read a couple of the Super Bowl squares that we got coming up. Fat Man Scoop, that was the DJ, right? Or the rapper, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Turd Ferguson is Mike's. By the way, I've
Yes.
used that in conversation about the pool. Nobody's asked me, like, who the hell is Turd Ferguson? That is hilarious. Um, who said signing a peg leg? Was that one of us at a red zone? I don't know where I wrote that down. Signing a peg leg. I think it might have been a phrase like that's as hard as signing somebody's peg leg. Anyhow, that's on there. I don't know what that means, but I'll throw that out.
All
The
right.
Northern Lights comment will come up that day. I made a note of that.
Yeah, that's solid.
Howie Felter Snatch is also on here. So somebody, I don't know.
Did you? Oh, speaking of, did you see the two guys that snuck into the Texas A&M Texas game as construction workers?
Yes.
I did see that
The
story.
names
Yeah,
that they used,
yeah.
phenomenal.
That's actually, I told people a story about Mike and I saying hi to Julio Jones. If you pretend like you know what you're doing,
Yeah,
people
you get
just
anyone.
kind of. We
Yeah.
had just ripped it up at that suite,
Yes.
and we walked down, and I said, "Let's go down as far as we can get." And we were walking to the field, and here comes Julio Jones the other way
Yes. Yep.
at the SEC championship. So if you
Yep.
pretend like you know what you're doing,
Yeah,
you can get in there.
it's true. We
I don't know
talked our
who
way
said-
into the bowels of the infield at a NASCAR race.
Well, that's true because we just kept telling people we were supposed to be there,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm supposed to
carrying
be
an
here.
illegal tripod.
Yes,
The
correct.
guy
That
at the
too.
media center in the center of the track goes, "I don't know how the hell you guys got this far." And he's like, "Let me take it back and tell you where you got to sign in," which was like miles down the road. That's exactly what he said to us. Because let's get you hooked up. You got to go back a couple miles and go sign in at the NASCAR building down the road. Then we have to wave to hi to Pedro again, and then come back and let Pedro
Yes.
park there again.
Yeah.
You see
Somebody
that sign
said
that
his,
says rib tip? Make a left over there.
somebody said his bra tightened up on him. I don't know who that was. Walshy. So Nancy was here, and she was having I guess we call it a mammogram the next day. So
Yeah.
as Walshy's leaving, he goes, "Good luck with your booby squeeze." He'd say that. Somebody said he fingered him. I think Nancy might have belted that out. So we got a new phrase. Jim might not have been here. Darren, the guy that does wrestling with me, so it was the Lions game a few years ago where the guy hurtled into the end zone and basically stuck his nuts in the guy's face. And Darren belts out, "That's a flying teabag." So that's what we've been calling
That's a
it.
good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
that's
got
pretty
that.
good. That's
And
pretty
then
good.
I don't know who said throat goat, but that's on there.
Oh, classic. Yeah.
Yeah, I throat goat. That might have been
That's
something I
classic.
read. Yeah. So anyhow, that was just a couple of the Super Bowl things. And I got to add some of them from last year when Mike wasn't here because nobody else knew who the hell Randy Pankratz was.
That's
There was,
that
yeah,
wretched.
yeah.
Oof.
Who?
It was this one. So we go to that BC 39 at Indy, the midget race,
Right.
and there's a woman, and I use that term loosely she's a
Yeah.
driver. So we were walking through the pits, and she looks like she's probably about 50, right, Mike?
Probably in reality, yes. She's
Most
probably about
likely
50.
played softball at some point in her life, and was pretty big, like a good couple of bills, maybe more, and just looked rough. So I forget what one of us said, but it was a rough looking one. So I forget what I said about her, but we did have her on the list last year. It was Randy Penn. And of course, I thought it was a dude when I saw the name on the entry list. And it's actually, it's actually a woman. Randy Pankratz is wretched. Yeah, that was I got to keep a couple
That's a
of on
true
there. Tits
statement,
Up was
by the
on
way.
last year.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
that
classic.
Jim would bang Snooki. That's also on there. Yep.
That's a good wingman. No, I had years
Also,
ago.
I have Let the Negroes Play, which I think was that your dad?
No, that
Oh,
was
that was your uncle.
that was another family member. Yes, like, yeah, that was. Man, I tell you, you want to see like Homer Simpson like crawl back into the bushes? That was me. I'm like, you
So
got to be fucking kidding me. No, but
I got Guy Senior on here. Also, it's too bad that Jason isn't with us, but
Good one.
Chris getting blown 3 times by a dude. Didn't he tell us that he thought a dude was? Remember that story about 3 times and he thinks he might have been a man? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to let that one go. But anyhow, okay, yeah,
Just run with that. Run with it.
yeah. I got Barnyard Munchin versus Einfart. That was a
That's
big
a good
soccer
one.
game.
That's a good one right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So
Hey,
actually,
you have helmets for Barnyard Munchin to put on?
I can get some. I got an Einfart helmet down there. Yeah. Oh, how about this, Jim? Have you ever had Modelo beer?
yes,
Oh,
So Mike sends me a picture of it today, and I've never had it. So I said, I hear it's high class. He says it's like horse piss. Shit, I forgot what I forgot. All right, so we got cut off there.
Modelo.
Oh,
Modelo.
Modelo. So
Yeah.
yeah, so he sends me the Modelo picture, and he says it tastes like horse piss. So he says, he goes, I said I heard that it's a, it's a real foofy beer, or it's a nice Mexican. He goes, it's trendy right now, and I had one at a Christmas thing. The next day, it made my fart stink so bad. So I asked
That's a
him.
true story.
I wrote, yeah,
Horrible.
that's the reason. I wrote, did you drink Modelo in Oregon? So, because that was when he ripped one in Corvallis and locked the car doors. So, of course, he made a great Smokey and a Bandit reference by saying Corvallis is baby shit compared to what this did. That was good. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Doug, it's the worst, man.
Well,
It stunk so bad. It's all because of that Modelo, too. That's the only thing.
Was it like that time that guy ripped one in that bar in Indy?
It might have been worse than that.
Wow, that's rough. Yeah.
Yes, because that was bad when that guy did that. That cleared that bar out.
Well, that was from.
By the way, when you did it, it cleared out the bar.
Well, it was bad because that was a good 12 hours of drinking at that point. Actually, it probably was right around the 12-hour mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was all those light skies that we ripped into.
Yeah.
I remember Kathy had the look of just complete disgust on her face and is like, that was you?
By the way, can
Yes.
that be like the greatest line ever? The look of utter disgust or
Yes.
great, right?
Totally.
It's just like,
I think she just was like, I can't believe that you did that. Like, I'd get it if Mike did it, but like she was just like, and it was bad.
It was awful. It was horrible.
We cleared that out and went and had a cigar, so we were good there.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, all that was going on in the background, there was a guy throwing a no-hitter.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, so Tyler Gilbert came back to the Pigs this year, and I wanted to interview him so bad to tell him the story of what I was doing when he was throwing a no-hitter.
Yes.
Hey, Tyler, remember how stressful that 8th inning was? Well, some guy ripped one in the bar I was standing in. It really cleared everybody out.
He shit his pants. We ended up watching that game clearly because nobody else was in there bothering us.
Oh man, that's a good one. All right. So we got some time here. I sent another thing to Jason. I guess he's not getting on there, but anything anybody else wants to anything you guys want to bring up?
Juan Sota.
No.
Oh, is that too close? That's still too soon?
Well, no, I can't. I'll get all fired up about everybody's getting paid too much.
Did you see that Cashman?
Nick Totoro?
Cashman's desperate. He signed Max Fried today for 8 years and 218.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
I said to Angela yesterday when I told her, I go, "Do you think Steinbrenner would have let this guy go?" No, but
do you know what was one of the sticking points?
I heard it had some. Was it something? Yeah, somebody treated his family poorly or something.
That was one of them, and the other thing is he wanted a suite for his family, and Cohen gave it to him, and the Yankees wouldn't supposedly.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They can.
By the time that guy's contract runs out, I'll probably have had my second stroke. What it's going to come.
Here, let's have a couple of things. Let's have a contest here. I have to write down. So what happens first? Jim has 2 strokes, apparently. We'll add that to it. Bobby Bonilla stops getting paid by the Mets. Rutgers wins a Big Ten championship in
Good
football.
one.
That's all this
Good
stuff.
one.
Or the Vikings win the Super Bowl or even get there. That's all.
Good one.
Yes, yes.
You cannot say that Rutgers will never win a Big Ten championship. You
Yes.
just can't do it. You
We
can't.
can.
It could happen.
No.
It's not a rhetorical question.
It's
They
listen,
might have a shot. And like I said in the text message, whenever that happens, if I'm in my grave, someone better come to it and say, Jim, you were right.
all right, I'll do that. Okay, but they're not going to. As good as Indiana was, they still did.
Oh my God, I hope it happens in the next 3 years.
Rutgers will need,
Oh
and
my-
by the way, Rutgers' schedule this year was probably as easy as Indiana's,
Yeah.
and they still couldn't do. I mean, they made a bowl game, I think. I don't know if they
They did,
made the
yeah.
Scottie Pippen M&M Bowl or whatever. You know, Snoop Dogg has a bowl.
Oh, jeez.
Snoop
Does he
Dogg
really?
has a bowl. Yeah, I saw that a couple
Wow.
weeks ago. Yeah,
You know what? I saw something.
I think it's in Seattle.
yesterday.
It's the Snoop Dogg Weed Bowl or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm just joking about
Hey,
it.
by the way, for the record, Bobby Bonilla, they pay him until 2025 or 2035. 2035. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2035. You know,
Yeah.
it was the Fenway Bowl, like UConn against
Mm.
oh, it's the
North
Snoop
Carolina,
Dogg
isn't it?
Arizona
yeah.
Bowl.
So it's like
Isn't it Yeah.
two basketball schools that are playing in a bowl game at a baseball stadium.
I think they're playing North Carolina. I think that's who it is.
I think you're right.
Yeah. This is before the two Belichicks take over and
Yeah.
immediately.
Well,
Yeah.
my guess with Belichick is that he's angling for this job, and hopefully he takes it. And they say, "All right, you know, your son will be the next head coach in charge." And then when the cycle comes out again after the season's over, someone comes and hires him, and he's only the head coach of NC for 2 months.
Well, all right. So first of all, I just want to look something up here. So Belichick's
know.
kid, who had no prior, I mean, he's a whatever. He's I get it because he broke down a lot of film and did all that stuff for his dad. So he's the Washington defensive coordinator this year, right? So I'm just trying to see how far back does this go? Anyhow, he's not who the hell do you think you are that you're going to be like, you hire me and then my kid's going to take over? He's not qualified to be a head coach at North Carolina. I don't know if he's qualified
What
to
about
be the
Kyle
DC.
Shanahan though? He wasn't a
No, he's not
trust fund
Shanny.
baby.
Shanny.
He wasn't a
not
trust
Shanny.
fund baby.
Nah, he's
You
Well,
not
they all
Shanny.
are. I mean, so what I think they should do, UNC, they should bring in Jack Collinsworth, bring
Good
in
one.
Ian Eagles kid. Might as
Good
well
one.
hire Mike Golick Jr. to be your offensive line coach. You bring him in there. Too bad Howie Long doesn't have a kid. Does
Hey,
Gus
got
Johnson
two.
have? Well, he's probably got some kids. We just, don't. Anyhow.
Well, he's got Chris Long and the other one that played.
Oh,
for
that's
the
right. He does have a kid. That's right. Notre Dame guys. Yeah.
No, not Virginia and
Oh,
Oregon.
okay. I just wanted to look up what Washington did defensively outside of giving up like 50 plus to Oregon the last game of the regular season. But anyhow, I don't know how a bitter, miserable old man does. I mean, Mac Brown was 100, but he was a nice dude. Belichick is a miserable old man, and now you're going to recruit there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Listen,
hold
you know,
on.
I believe wholeheartedly the word is out to him that there is no NFL
You're
team.
probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably
Yeah.
right.
So he's going
So-
to get his kid. It's to get his kid a job.
Right.
What is? And by the way, so we toured UNC.
Well,
Ava,
hold on.
it's a nice place.
Let's play devil's advocate.
Okay,
Maybe his girlfriend wants to go to grad school.
Yeah.
that's what Davis said.
Yep.
So, but I
And
didn't-
that can
I
get
didn't-
him into
is
the
she
frat
real- I mean,
parties.
listen, I'm being serious. Is he dating somebody that's really that young, or it's kind of a
24.
Yes.
24?
24.
Yeah.
So his kid
24.
is older than his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be
Yes.
like me dating somebody younger than Shane or Davis.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or Joey.
That's
You dating
correct.
somebody. I mean, Snooky's not younger than Joey. That's out of the running.
You know what you do?
That's what.
Good one.
Here
You
we
shake
go. Wait.
that man's hand.
Shake his hand. You
Yeah.
don't know where it's been. I don't know if you want to shake it, but okay. That's yeah. It's like Ball's hand.
Well, he
from
probably
Billy
wasn't
Swindell.
finger fucking a rope. You know,
Wait. What was that?
he probably wasn't finger fucking a rope.
Huh.
I'm not. I've never heard that before.
I haven't either.
You never heard the expression finger fucking?
No.
That,
Oh yeah,
what,
that
a
I've heard.
rope?
Well, remember when someone shook your hand with a rope?
Oh, right. Oh, now I
I was
get it.
just
I might
adding
let me.
something
Oh,
more
that's
on
right.
to
Because
that.
Junk
Oh,
Hands was, yeah, he had his
And by the
Sean all
way,
over the.
and by the way, for people, the probably 12 people that watch this, by finger fucking, I mean sticking your hand in a bag of food that everybody else shares with.
Good one. That's what you
Okay.
meant.
yeah. Okay.
Not
Yes.
like Billy. Not
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah,
Billy.
yeah.
So I have to
Billy
tell.
Billy had a different definition of
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
Well,
So
I'm doing the clean version
So
because there was a guy at work today. He opened up a bag of chips and he shoved his hand in. I'm like, what are you finger fucking the chips? You know?
all right, I gotta
What?
keep.
What do you
I
mean?
made a
I'm like,
note of
pour it
that.
on a plate.
I made a note of that. Yeah, that's a good one. So when you sent that jersey, I had to tell Angela that story, and I had to brace her for it. The funny thing about it, if I got this right, is that you thought he was wearing a Colts jersey, right?
I did. He was wearing, in my defense.
It was a
So
Dallas Cowboys
I'd like to
jersey.
defend myself.
Troy
It
Aikman.
was- yes, it was a Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys white jersey. He was across the bar,
Yeah,
and we had been drinking
all
all day,
day.
all day,
So
literally. Like we started at 10 o'clock in the morning local
this was
time
when we went to the ESPN zone in
in
Denver
Denver.
and
Yes.
just flat out went after it. That was also after the Bills, Patriots scored against the Bills.
Yes.
And Mike said, if they score again, let's go for it, which I've already done. So the girl that he was with looked like an old catcher's mitt. Am I right? I mean, that is not far from the truth.
The Troy Aikman caricature.
So the funny thing is so we're sitting there and Mike, so we had drank all beers, I mean, it was those recliners and they just brought beers to you. It was unreal. And they had a private party, so we had to move into the bar. So we had more beers and Mike goes, hey, if the Patriots score, that was the year they had Randy Moss. He's like, they score, let's just go for it. So that was the Washington Apples, the Goldschlager. So I see the guy. He's like, hey, there's a guy in a Colts jersey over there. I'm gonna go talk to him. As he's walking to him, like, man, I don't think that's a Colts jersey. And you see the exchange. You see that this guy was rough, and she was rough. And I like, oh boy, here he comes back over. He goes, that guy wasn't wearing a Colts jersey. Oh, Billy. I won't. Yeah, that was anyhow.
Hey, do you still have a picture of that broad?
I don't think so. I
She
think
looked like, you know what she'd look like? Jim, she looked like Sam Elliott from the movie
Ooh.
Tombstone
but with
Ooh.
dark hair, right?
with dark hair.
So you know
Yeah.
what? I don't
Wow.
think I do. I think we
Oh,
decided to
wretched.
mutually burn those,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
bad.
was not.
That was really bad.
So Marla Hooch was better looking.
Oh, not even close.
Oh.
Before they made her up.
Mm.
Before they made her up. No, it was rough. Yeah, and I think she was pretty ripped, so she kind of had that like real droopy dog eyes, like she was tanked already. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
Don't know if he ended up being successful with his venture on that one, but
No, we made the right decision and
well,
got out of that.
I couldn't. That's the night I fell and ripped my pants. Oh man!
Hey Jim, Doug was wearing these brand new jeans.
First time.
And as you recall, under the previous administration, right, the
Things
rules
were a little
different.
tight.
Yeah. And he fucking falls face first. Like hits the curb. He hits the curb like this and just boom, face down, right? Pops up, got a big old brush burn on his face.
I had gravel on my face still.
He did. I looked down at his jeans, big old hole right in the jeans, right in the knee. Tore the shit out of those things.
That's the night I yacked, and I thought we were going to get thrown out when Pedro had to come in with a hazmat suit and clean that yak up. That guy ended up cutting. So he came in to clean the yak.
You're telling this story, and the TV behind you is the guy is making faces as you're telling the story, and his hands are going up.
I think it's the Grinch. Yeah. So
you're telling the story. He's like, ooh.
The guy came in in a full hazmat suit. Like, I mean, serious gloves, mask, hood. And I think his plan was to clean it, and he couldn't. He cut a hole out of the rug, right?
He just cut a square out.
And then put like a patch of something else in there. It's like when Packer took a dump in Michael's office on the
Yes.
office. He just ripped that right out of there. I
Yes.
thought he was going to get thrown out of the hotel. That's what.
So Jim, we're walking through the hotel lobby. It's a Marriott. We're walking through, and we are hung over violently.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we're not even close to the check-in area or the concierge or anything like that. Like we're across the lobby, and I hear, "Excuse me, Mr. Fouts. Excuse me."
I thought
And
I wouldn't
right
go
away,
over.
he's
I'm like, we're out.
"Oh, we're getting tossed.
Yeah,
We're
they're
getting
going to
thrown
toss
out."
us.
So I go over there, and they're like, "It appears somebody might have had a health issue in your room. Would you like to switch rooms?" And
That's what,
I'm like, "Nah, we're fine. We'll just, yeah, it's good." And so then they send the guy in a hazmat suit,
Yeah.
full yellow hazmat suit to clean it.
that was I'll never forget them saying that. Would you like another room? Like, oh man, I thought they were tossing us. Because he's got all these point benefits and everything. They're gonna like cut his freaking royalties all out, and he's not gonna be able to stay anywhere because I yacked over the bed and I drank a bunch of Goldschlager in Washington Apple. That's what I think it was. That went bad. That went quick too. Yeah. That was the year that we went to the football game on Monday, which was the next day, and there was the older lady sitting next to me, and I mean, we just sat there and watched. It was the Broncos and Titans with Vince Young. About the third quarter, she goes, "I want to ask you something. Are you boys with the military? Are you here with the Air Force?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh, because you're sitting here so nice and quiet, and you're so friendly." Like, nah, no, we're not. Here, we were ripped up the night before, couldn't barely talk, and she thought we were at the Air Force.
We were too hungover to say anything.
Yeah,
We
we just sat there like we were conversing, but we didn't get all riled up or swear or anything. We're just sitting there. She thought we were with the Air Force.
You probably should have had a beer. You would have felt better.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have bit the dog. That wouldn't have. Tried to down that freaking cheeseburger at that restaurant in the afternoon. That was awful.
When you left me for 40 minutes?
Well, I don't know if it was that long, but it was.
You left me to deal with the issues in the administration?
Oh man, yeah, that was freaking shaking like crazy, almost like that time coming back from New England.
I went out one night in college. I had no classes one semester on a Thursday, and I took my roommate's ID, who was 21. He takes the other roommate's ID, and we go down, we get in, we start doing shots of tequila. And I woke up at probably like 11:30 the next day, hungover as hell. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I need grease. So Andy, let's go to Burger King. It's dollar burgers. I go down and order like 5 burgers, right? Put the ketchup on it. I take a bite of the burger. It tasted like tequila. For 20 years, I never drank tequila unless it was in like a margarita or something like that. I'm like, I can't like, oh God. Oh, and my father called me that morning. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't talk. And he's like, what's the matter? I'm like, he's like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Like, oh man.
Why is it that we men have a theory that cheeseburgers are going to be the answer the next day? Because that's what Mike and I did in New England when I had the shakes real bad, and that did not sit well at all.
No. Usually you think like grease is gonna like sop stuff, but
no, that didn't work.
Single longest drive home in the history of modern transportation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we drove for like 32 hours. Oof. That's what it felt like.
It did feel like a long, because you know what it's like. You go up that direction and it just takes forever to get anywhere you're going.
We decided, we got up in the morning and we decided we would get a couple of Gatorades because that felt like the right thing to do. We couldn't eat, by the way. There was no way we're going to eat at that point, like first thing in the morning. And we go to this little convenience store and Doug's paying in cash and he's like shaking and there's coins flying everywhere.
It was bad. And I could see him laughing at me next to me. I could see him out of the corner of my eye because I'm thinking at the time that, oh, this is working out pretty good. Nobody's going to notice this. And he's just freaking giggling like a little girl over there. Yeah.
He was having a.
For some reason, I'm picturing the Dumb and Dumber thing when they were driving out, and you guys made the left and shit. Wow, I thought it'd be more mountainy.
That's a good one. I forget. Speaking of Dumb and Dumber, I forget something happened over the weekend where I brought up getting kicked in the nuts in Denver or in Boulder,
Oh boy.
and I forget how that came up, but that's when Angela, my sisters, when I told her that story, it said like we were the two old man versions of Jackass, like doing that day.
Yes, that's right.
I forget it had
Yeah.
something to do with feeling no pain or whatever, and
Yeah.
I brought that up
Oh,
again.
yeah. You said because of all that stuff, right?
Well, yeah,
Stuff.
I announced to everybody
Yeah.
in the
Can't feel
middle of
anything.
that hotel
I
lobby
can't
that he
feel
could
anything.
kick me in the balls and I wasn't
Yeah.
going to feel it, and then he
Yeah.
proceeded to do it. We have video of that somewhere. If Davis comes for the Super Bowl, we gotta show somebody that. Let me screen it first to make sure there's nothing. Yeah, because I think Davis videoed him kicking me in the balls. Yeah,
Yep, he's got that video.
yeah.
Yep.
We had a guy at college that when he would get drunk, he'd be like, "All right, I want somebody to take the shot." And you're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, punch me in the jaw." Okay. And people punch him in the jaw. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like that's no problem." Then one day he's like, "Come on, Whitey, do it." I'm like, "All right." I almost broke his jaw. And
Well,
he's like,
yeah,
yeah,
because
it's
you're
like, yeah, that was pretty
like
dumb.
getting
Um,
kicked in the crotch, like that's different. Like you're not
yeah.
gonna, well, you don't think you're gonna break anything, but you don't think that you're gonna feel it because at that point, like it was hard standing up. Like it wasn't
You
gonna.
probably could have used that the next day. Maybe you threw up, you would have felt better.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh, that's
It
true.
turns
If I
out,
got,
hey Jim, it turns out you can't get high or drunk enough to not feel
Yeah,
getting kicked in the nuts.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's true.
That's
I
what the
made
experiment led
because I
to.
made a valid attempt at doing that. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
for sure. I insisted that the game was over at halftime. I'm arguing with these guys like it's over. Let's go. After like maybe 30 seconds before that, agreeing that we'll just leave at halftime, and then arguing that I think the game is actually over, and it wasn't. Forgot who they were playing. That's when I thought that Davis went back to the hotel.
Yes.
I thought
Yeah.
Angela and Kathy were sitting next to us. That was
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So Shane didn't know the amount of powder of that. He brought these little like Crystal Light packets. I dumped two of them straight into a bottle of beer at the bar, and then just we started ripping into stuff. I
Ooh.
probably shouldn't have done that. It's like Kathy finding
No,
that entire goldfish a couple of years ago, and then wanting to hold on to the earth so she didn't fall off of it. That was that was good stuff. All right. Well, we kind of got through a couple things there. Is there anything else that we talked about? Well, I don't know how the hell we got on that after talking about Juan Soto and Belichick, but that works for me. That works
well,
for me.
it started with the bingo cards, and then it just
Yeah, I think it's kind of
No.
well, yeah. It can't. The whole thing can't be serious. We
No.
can't. We can't be talking about. We can't be talking about the college football playoff. So actually, I didn't realize there's a couple of bowl games this week.
Yeah.
Not just Army Navy. There's a couple of bowl games, but yeah, because I'm. Oh, and Jim, Notre Dame plays on Friday, right? They play Friday
Yes.
night. Yeah.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
couldn't kick that SMU Penn State game off early enough for people not to want to watch it.
Right.
I mean, they could have kicked it
Yeah.
off at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it would have made no difference.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Although I did tell somebody, because I've actually Penn State this year, I hate them. All because of the fact that I woke up that Saturday morning looking forward to watching that Ohio State Penn State game, saying, I think this is the fucking year that Penn State could actually do it. And they piss me off so much that I have nothing but blind hatred towards them, like I do the Eagles right now. Because like this is supposed to be your year to finally break through and beat Ohio State, and we're a better offense. You scored 6 fucking points.
Yes.
6 fucking points. And then listen, Homer did a really good job of calling that fake punt when he did. And I told somebody that we call him Homer Simpson, and the guy can't stop laughing when he thinks about it now.
Well,
yeah. But
we don't just
he
call
doesn't
him
get
Homer
that
Simpson.
fake- he
There's
doesn't get-
another.
Yeah.
There's a cult.
He
Yeah,
doesn't get that fake punt. They're
Yeah.
out of the playoff.
yeah.
They're
I-
out.
Jim, why don't you tell the listener what we actually call him?
Since you brought it up,
Yeah. I mean, you might as well.
He is called the black version of Homer Simpson.
There you go. That was a
Because
nice.
he
That
is
was
an because he is an African
that is
American.
the classic Jim White way of describing
Yes.
something. I'd have belted something out inappropriate there, but no, he does actually look like that. But
He
so
does.
I said today that if he loses to SMU, they're probably just not even going to let him get through the tunnel.
Well, what happens? Well, what happens with Ryan Day? Think about it. If they should, you really got to think either he's going to be that good of a coach, right? Generalizing it to go into that meeting the day after they lose to their rival, and you're being born on third base and you go 1-4 against your rival, and now you got to pick yourself up and say, "Hey, everything's still ahead of us." It's like being in Easton. Oh shit, we lost to Peaburg this week. Well, but we still got to play a playoff game for the state championship. They'd rather fucking beat Peaburg instead of winning.
That's
So Ohio
true.
State is no different than Easton right now.
He's probably got to win the Natty to get off the hook.
Yeah, I think if
they lose
yeah,
to Tennessee, which
yeah,
I think it could be possible.
Yes.
Could be possible.
Yes.
I think he leaves there. Okay. But if he gets past that and just say loses, so who do they have to play next? Texas or is it Oregon again? I don't remember off the top.
I was just going to pull that bracket up. It's
Yeah.
Oregon, right? Yeah.
So if he loses, like,
Yeah,
do
the
you
five,
say
yep.
his season
Eight.
was a failure?
Yeah.
As Nick Saban said, you better make sure you spend your 20 million wisely, or you ain't got shit.
Right, and he's right. That's that's
So I'm really curious to see what he's done with that team. If they can hop off that loss to Michigan, because as bad as that Penn State loss was to Ohio State, this loss is worse as an Ohio State fan, that like your rival is a 500 team. They can't pass, they can't do shit.
Yeah, they
And
looked bad this
only
year.
scored 10 points against them with your all these great wide receivers. And what do you try and do? Oh, we're going to be tougher than Michigan and run against those two defensive tackles. Michigan's defensive line is good. Throw the fucking ball. And by the way, did you hear Gus when Sawyer intercepted that intercepted?
Well, yeah, I heard that.
His whole voice cracked and all that. Like,
it's just not professional.
No.
Well, in 1996,
Wait a minute. Him saying that a kid has running from the cop speed is not professional. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not either. But I remember doing a high school football game on the radio that 5 people could hear at that time of night, and a kid made an interception in the end zone, and we went ballistic. And I remember saying, like, we can't ever do that again, because you're yelling. And it sounds ridiculous. This is a guy working the lead game on Fox, is screaming like a lunatic.
Right.
Everybody knows he loves Ohio State.
Right. He's a homer for Ohio State.
I mean, at some point you got to tap out on that. That's like, listen, I'm sorry, this is not professional. Actually, it's funny. That reminds me. So my sister, who claims to be like a knower of everything, like she's a Phillies fan, but probably can't name 5 players. She's texting me on Saturday complaining about how great. So she told me in the beginning of the year that Saban's terrible on game day.
Oh,
So right. So I let that go. So it's one of those where you got to let it go and let her figure it out. So she texts me on Saturday. She's like, Saban is really good, and so is Herbie, and so is McAfee. The 3 of them are great. Dez doesn't know what he's talking about. I write, no shit. I've been telling you this for years. No, he doesn't. When a kicker who basically has done nothing in his life to game plan for football knows more about the game than a guy who won the Heisman and was a Super Bowl MVP, there's a problem with this show.
Yeah.
There is a problem with this show.
Do you see on Twitter or X, whatever they call it now, that awful announcing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see like the hatred that Herb Street's getting for his kid choosing Michigan over Ohio State?
Oh,
so I got a couple things on that. My guess is that as tied in as he is to college football, my guess is that Ryan Day and he probably had some type of conversation or something. And Ryan Day said, listen, we're recruiting these guys. If your kid comes, he's probably going to be a preferred walk-on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
So he chooses Michigan.
That doesn't
Like,
do. Yeah. Who cares?
who really cares who your
Right.
kid chose?
Yeah, but
and he said, oh well, you should see him behind the scenes. He comes
Jim,
off a nice guy.
if one of our friends' sons who bounced around at multiple different schools decided to go there, don't you think he would have been fired up? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's these guys with this hatred for that. It would be the same way. We know people. Well, I mean, Walsh didn't go to Ohio State, but they'd be the same way. I get it.
I did ask that question one day, and I said,
I think he said he wouldn't let him do it, right?
Right. And he goes, if he's good enough to get recruited by Penn State, then he's good enough to get recruited by Ohio State. But
Right.
I'm like, maybe
we have friends
the
that
person
both,
going before him was like the number 3 position then, and your kid's the number 6.
Yeah.
And they got a commitment from the number 3, so he went to this school and they prioritized him. No, I could like
we have friends that both mom and dad went to Michigan State, met there, and their son, who's a senior with Ava, wants to go to Michigan. He might go to Michigan. They're like, whatever. And that's their big
whatever.
He's like, well, you're going to go to Michigan and get a good education. I'm not going to tell him not to.
Yeah, it's your child.
Ava may enroll at Clemson. Did you guys just catch that? Ava may enroll at Clemson.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And I would encourage it for a couple of reasons. First of all, for the nursing thing, it's in a good environment, and I've never been to a game there, and I'd like to. Now I have a reason. So anyhow, that's But and as much as I hate them and that whole clown show, you want to go there? It's a good spot. We can probably drive to it occasionally. Yeah. Anyhow, yes. I'm not going to tell her what's
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I drove to Myrtle Beach on a Friday morning, or no, on a Tuesday morning at 5 a.m, and I turned around at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day and drove home. Ooh. So it can be done.
Yeah, no, I would. We not to get off it, but kind of encouraging her to go somewhere in that southern part of 81, whether it be West Virginia, Virginia, Clemson. I know that's further down, but in that pocket somewhere, there's a couple of places that she might try to go to. But anyhow, because West Virginia.
I'm not being a wise ass. James Madison's a great school right there.
Right. I suggested that too.
Yeah.
But I think she might have missed the enrollment for that.
Okay.
Like West Virginia has already said yes. Yeah. But anyhow, I told her anywhere in that area because she. But yeah, that's no. Hey, I would have said the same.
Rich Rod's going back to West Virginia. Probably.
Good one.
Where is he? Where is he? Is he at Jacksonville State now? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he really going back to West Virginia?
There's a rumor that he might be going back. Yeah.
How about speaking of that? How about Scott freaking Frost going back to UCF and being like, oh, I made a decision and I never should have because I really like to hear you're a dick.
Yeah, always
failed miserably, and now you put your tail between. I mean, he did win a natty there.
Yes,
he did. He did win a natty. Yes.
Yeah. So just wait for the first home game, and we welcome back our national championship head coach.
Yes.
Scott Frost.
Come rolling out in that police car that's got it on there. Yes.
Good one.
By the way, did you see the picture of Jack Del Rio?
No, where's he? Was he wearing a leather jacket like he always wore on the
Wisconsin? It's like not an assistant but an advisor. And he got pulled before Dewey.
Oh,
and they got him in the back of the car. He's like, "Can you pull over? I got to take a piss."
Well,
oh man,
at least he didn't pull the old Bob Huggins. Where
I was just gonna say, you yacked on the side of a car. Bob Huggins. Hey, that Modelo, at least he must have been drinking a bunch of Modelo and he yacked on the side of that car.
I'll tell you what, I bet that stunk like a bastard.
Did Huggins have a beer belly, or was that liver?
He had a little bit of a boiler.
Or was that his liver just distended?
Oh, it could have been.
His belly looked like it was rock hard cement.
Yeah, no, it was Huggins. I was just looking at that bracket. To me, that Tennessee Ohio State game is probably the best one. But
and at least
then the Notre Dame one will be interesting.
That's going to be an interesting game.
All right, so Arizona State plays Texas, and then that next round, or if Texas beats Clemson, I mean, I don't want to give it. Yeah. All right, I just was looking. All right,
and look at what's his name. Beck might be out.
Yeah.
Carson
for
Beck, yeah,
Georgia,
yeah.
so that has, listen, this is wide open for any team this year. It
Yeah.
really is. There's no clear cut, you know, you're not going to get a 34-3 blowout, as my friend said, when I was talking to today. But every team is capable of winning.
Hey, if Carson Beck is out,
If-
who's
if-
going to throw 3 picks for Georgia?
Yeah.
yeah,
And then yuck it up on the sideline like you're, I tell you what. So, well, I think I texted you
that
guys a
freaking
few weeks
D-back,
ago.
man.
Why the hell?
Sidestep the tackle and you're scoring and Texas wins the SEC. Yeah, how do you let that guy fucking tackle? And there was a guy there to block for him. He was gone.
All right, let's be honest here, Jim's. So first of all, there's no way in hell SMU can win this thing. I don't think Boise State, except the fact that they got the JV bracket. The only way this would have been better is if Clemson was in the other half. I mean, this is unreal. This is horrible.
Mhm.
It's horrible. So I think here's it.
Oregon got the worst draw. Oregon's got the worst draw of them all, and
Yeah,
they put
exactly. They got to play the Tennessee, the 8-9, and then they have to potentially play Texas or Arizona State. Listen, I tell you this. I'm not sure about Notre Dame yet, just because of the fact
I can agree with
its
that.
schedule is just sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I can agree with that.
But like, but I wouldn't rule them out. The
No.
reason why I rule Penn State out of winning it is that James Franklin asshole shrinks whenever he plays anybody good. It's proven. So but they wouldn't have to play anybody till the semis. But I think Oregon, I think Arizona State, I mean, they're scoring points. Hell, they kick the shit out of the next NFL coach, Matt Campbell, every year.
Mhm.
So I mean, hell, and that's not the game. It's at the Fiesta Bowl. Boise State's playing at the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. There's a couple of, I think Notre Dame can handle Indiana quite easily, because I think Indiana, again, that's just doesn't do it. It's not. But I don't think SMU can win it. I don't think Penn State can win it. I don't think Boise can win it. Except they may not. I mean, hell, yeah. I mean,
The problem with Notre Dame, and obviously being a fan, the problem with Notre Dame is everybody can't overlook that Northern Illinois loss. And I agree with that 100%. But you can also turn that around, because if they didn't lose to them, might they have stumbled along the way? Might they have lost to Louisville at home?
yeah, or Georgia
Something like
Tech
that.
or somebody like that. Yeah.
Right. So basically, after that NIU game, and I think the quarterback did get hurt in that, and I think that they took them lightly and like, well, we want to do this on offense and really try and air it out to do stuff and all that. But once they lost that NIU game, every week after that was a playoff game for them, because
Yeah,
if
they knew
won,
they couldn't lose again.
they were out.
Yeah.
So I do think that, and as the season progressed with him, Leonard's gotten better. And I think they found their comfort zone with him. Now, do I think that he is a big play passer? No. And like, that's what I'm waiting for. Like, you sit there and all of a sudden you run that one of those RPOs and you're hitting a guy down the field 30 yards and there's nobody near him by 20. Those big plays aren't breaking out like that. But they run the ball. Love is a good running back. Payne's a good running back. They do have a shot if you play within their system. Scares me a little bit with USC putting up 500 yards of offense against them, but that was a game that they really kept them at arm's reach the whole game. So I do think that, they do have a shot if everything falls their way, like not making mistakes, not turning the ball over, and like I was listening to College Sports Radio or Paul today. Oh, it was Feinbaum. And it's true. You can look at a game and there's always like 3 to 4 plays that determine that outcome of the game. A stupid penalty on third down to get off the field that keeps a drive alive might be in the second quarter, and they go down and pick up, a field goal or a touchdown. Little things like that, like those 3 or 4 plays, you can hold that, or, then you have a shot, you never know.
Well, the interesting thing here is if Marcus Freeman wins the game, Jim can't claim that Urban Meyer should be the next Notre Dame head coach. So
No,
that's,
no, that ship has sailed.
and then I'm going to start the rumor that the Cowboys are going to hire him, and he's going to bring Dion. Oh, I'm sorry. The Raiders are going to hire Marcus Freeman, and Dion's going to go there because they're going to draft both of his players because that's what Dion wants. And then Brian Kelly's going to come back to Notre Dame with Urban
God,
Meyer as his offensive coordinator.
no. Well, if you really want to know the scenario I'm scared about
Oh,
is
boy.
that Day leaves Ohio State and they make a push. Ohio State makes a push for Freeman. That's I don't think Freeman's an NFL coach. I don't.
Maybe Chip Kelly will just take over at Ohio State.
Yeah. He's been interviewing.
Yeah. Or Belichick's
yeah.
kid.
Oh, by
Maybe
the way, I went on
Belichick's
that
kid.
Good one.
that Bucknuts website after they lost to Michigan, and that was they're interviewing for other jobs. They're not taking this seriously, but like, oh my God, the fan base on that, it's so
Yeah.
fun, like reading
I
that.
I can't read fanboy stuff. That bothers me. Which is
No.
mainly what most of the stuff is. But
Right.
because I got my Sam Darnold jersey on order, so I'm gonna.
Oh,
Well, actually,
yeah.
what's interesting is
One and done, Sam.
so wait a minute. So he wears 14. I don't even know what number the guy wears.
14.
Right. So the joke is, if the Vikings ever make it to the Super Bowl, I have to buy a Joe Webb jersey because we made a comment about Joe Webb. Joe Webb wore 14, so I can just scratch the name off the back if they make it and just put Webb on there and frame that up. We got a special spot to save that. Yeah.
All
I'm just
right.
waiting. I'm just waiting for,
The shoe to drop.
exactly the phrase that I was using today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll happen soon enough.
Right.
And, yeah. I mean, hell, well, they're not, obviously they didn't lock up a playoff spot, but yeah, it's,
Oh, they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs.
yeah, at this point. Yeah.
What do you think about the Eagles with what's his name? AJ Brown and going after Hurts after
Yeah. I didn't
you
see.
won 9 in a row. And so my guess is that Brown is starting to get pissed off because his production isn't
Right.
all that great. And I'm sure he's got incentives tied in his contract that if you catch 80 balls this season, you're going to get $750,000 bonus. And I don't know how many catches he has this year, but just say he finishes 20 short of what the number is, he loses out on that bonus. And you look at some of those things now, whatever you think of Orlovsky on Get Up in the Morning when he breaks down the quarterback stuff, but Hurts, if they showed a pass in the first series of that game, if he just waited like an extra second just to wait, he could have had Brown for like a 50-yard gain. And he pulled the trigger too quick and hit the middle guy on that side of the field. And it's just like Hurts is going to be their Achilles heel for the playoffs, just like Lamar Jackson is for Baltimore.
Oh, no. I think Sirianni's their Achilles heel. I think you can win a Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts.
I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Coach you to a Super Bowl win.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I agree. I'm not disagreeing. Because I think Hurts can win you a Super Bowl, but once that first read isn't open, and this is the way quarterback play has become in the NFL now because it all transitions from high school to 7-on-7s up to college. My first receiver's not there. Let me start rolling out here, and then I'm going to go run.
Yeah, but there's only let's be clear, in the NFL, there's probably only 4 guys that play what I would call a traditional quarterback, where they run through progressions. Burrow,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Burrow's one. Stafford, right? I think Jared Goff is one. And I might argue, because he's not overly mobile in my view, you could say that Purdy is one of those guys too.
Yeah.
And look how successful they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they take those teams further. Where the Eagles, Barkley always hits a big run at some point in the game, right? Hurts, his big play is a scramble. usually, or maybe like a 4th and 1, and he's like, all right, no, I'm going to get 1-on-1 to the outside, and I'm going to hit AJ Brown on a fade route. But in the playoffs, that whole field shrinks, really does shrink, and you get exposed. So like it always seems like he's looking, and same with Lamar, they're looking outside the hashes for their passes. They're not going inside.
Now they're no Kyler Murray. I know that. They're those guys.
Good
I mean,
one.
there's a guy that
Good one. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I gotta tap out on this one because I think we went
Yep.
well over an hour. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
all right, so looking forward to maybe we'll do this again next week. Maybe we'll for
Mhm.
Tuesday. And I'll edit these together. So I should have some couple little things I'm going to try to add to this. So hopefully everybody, the one person that's sticking around here, still enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys next week.
By the way, where was Ventola tonight?
He's probably out picking out wedding patterns, or
I
he
know.
might actually have to work. So, but that's a good
Okay.
one. Yeah.
All right. Just making sure that,
He claims he's coming for the Super Bowl. So we'll see. But yes.
it's Gone with the Wind on that night on another channel for
I
him?
think Heidi is on. They're
Okay.
gonna preempt the Heidi. That won't be Jets Raiders, that's for sure. So yeah. We'll save the Jets talk for next week because I got a bunch on that. All right, I'll see you guys next week.
Okay.